Armed Services Committee, joining us from Indiana. We got the connection to work. Thank you, sir, for waking up on New Year's morning.
Happy New Year.
And to you. Let's go back to our interview Saturday real quick, and we'll come out and talk about what's happened. Take a listen.
The maximum pressure campaign by President Trump versus Iran is working. We need to continue down that path. That's why Iran is like a flailing child flapping its arms around, trying to retreat from these sanctions that have brought them to the brink of economic ruin.
Flailing child, they're flapping their arms around. If they're trying to retreat, why are they attacking our embassy?
Well, Leland, that's the issue here. The maximum pressure campaign, the economic sanctions on Iran has brought the economy to a destructive point where they're acting out. What we have to continue to do is show the restraint that President Trump has shown, react in an appropriate way to their activities, like attacking our embassy in Iraq. The strikes that happened after our interview over the weekend was an appropriate response. Now we're sending troops to protect our embassy in Iraq as well. Those are appropriate responses, but in the meantime, we need to keep their economy strangled to the point that brings Iran back to the table to negotiate a better deal with the United States than the JCPOA. That's what President Trump has been targeting.
That's the real question, though, isn't it, Congressman, in terms of how much restraint is good? President Obama used to argue all the time that he was showing restraint. He said that after the Cairo and Benghazi embassy attacks in 2012, he showed restraint. He also sent troops to reinforce embassies all around the Middle East. I was there in Cairo as the troops came in and the U.S. Marines took up station there. But he was criticized for showing restraint by Republicans, and you're now praising President Trump.
Well, President Obama rewarded Iran for their nefarious activities by giving them cash through the JCPOA, by negotiating a deal that was in the best interest of Iran, that allowed them to go down the path of obtaining the nuclear weapons that President Trump is trying to prevent them from getting. And any deal that President Trump negotiates with Iran moving forward must ensure two things. One, that they never get the nuclear capabilities they're seeking, and two, that they stop funding proxy groups and stop continuing their activities as the largest state sponsor of terrorism around the globe. That's what President Trump is focused on. That's what the sanctions are preventing them from doing.
Well, yeah, and the Iranians unquestionably have the blood of thousands of Americans, U.S. soldiers in Iraq, as well as this contractor who was killed and a number of soldiers who were wounded just in the past few days after you and I spoke on Saturday. Here is what Morgan Ortagus said about the president's strategic patience. Take a listen.
We have told the Iranian regime countless times, do not confuse President Trump's strategic patience with weakness. And unfortunately, the regime has done that, which is why that you saw the strikes over the weekend targeted at these Iranian militias at Kataib Hezbollah.
So is that the red line? You kill an American and we're going to kill 25 of your militia members?
Well, that's been the approach that President Trump has taken.
I'm asking if you agree with it.
Tit for tat. I agree with the approach that the president is taking. The president has gone at lengths to prevent another endless, needless war in the Middle East. At the same time, he's maintained a maximum pressure campaign through sanctions, crippling the Iranian economy and preventing them from funding state-sponsored terrorism around the globe. That's the same path that we need to take moving forward. But it's also at the same time, Leland, why the president is sending troops to protect our embassy.
When do you think the patience should run out and the restraint runs out? Where's the red line that would demand an overwhelming military response from the United States? It's not shooting down an American drone. It's not killing a U.S. contractor and targeting U.S. troops. Where should the overwhelming, or when should that overwhelming response come?
Well, it depends on what you mean by overwhelming response. We need to show overwhelming strength as a deterrence.
Yeah, but they're not being deterred.
That's why we've moved Navy ships to the region. That's why we've moved troops to the region. I would argue largely that they have been deterred. There have been dust-ups and significant. We can't turn a blind eye to their directed activities toward our embassy and other places. But at the same time, we've shown a strong response through the sanctions, a strong response through the missile strikes in key strategic places. I imagine that that's what this administration will maintain, that level of and type of activity.
So you have this tit for tat thing. Everybody bakes in the price of doing something. They target U.S. troops. Their militia gets targeted. They attack the embassy. We said troops. Everybody understands the paradigm here. We go back to the mid-1980s when President Reagan flipped the paradigm on its head. He was the one who sank a third of the Iranian Navy in an afternoon and said, gee, if you do anything else, we're going to sink the other 2/3 tomorrow. And the Iranians didn't do boo for years after that. They didn't attack any embassies. Their sponsorship of Hezbollah and other groups went down. Where is that kind of response? Or should it be there?
Well, I imagine that's on the horizon. I mean, again, what we have done, what we've accomplished through these sanctions on the Iranian economy has brought them to a point of self-destruction. Their economy is literally, if there's any economy that is in the tank around the globe, it is the Iranian economy. And because of that, that's dried up funding that they previously sent to groups like Hezbollah and other state-sponsored terrorist groups or proxies in the region. That's a good thing, Leland, and that's why this president has gone at lengths to prevent another war, but at the same time putting destructive measures both economically and militarily on Iran. And I imagine that's the same path that this president will take moving forward. But in the meantime, we need to show American strength. That's why our naval fleet, why our troop presence is important to flex our muscle and prevent any more damaging activities by Iran moving forward.
We're watching video right now, just so our viewers understand, of a U.S. Apache gunship helicopter that flew over the embassy after the protests broke up and launched some flares as a show of strength, and then U.S. Marines that were landed there in the embassy compound. Congressman, we appreciate you making time on the holiday. A Happy New Year to you and yours, and to all the Hoosiers there that are with you in Indiana.
Thank you. Have a good day.